Welcome to the Decentralized Opportunity Podcast, a weekly podcast discussing innovative ideas in business and technology from unconventional and often overlooked sources. I'm your host, Tanner Lytle, here with your other host,
Wyatt Carson. Hi, Tanner.
Hey. Well, let's just kick off quickly and introduce our guests. We have Charles Cormier. He is the CEO of TopLeads. He's a serial entrepreneur, podcaster, fitness person, all sorts of stuff. And he's been really gracious of giving us a few minutes of his time because he was saying he has over a dozen meetings today.
Yeah, pretty busy. Exciting times, though.
Well, I guess first question, let's jump off kind of rapid fire style. If you want to kind of give us a little backstory of who you are and what's kind of brought you to where you are today.
Yeah, I started in agencies. I started in sales precisely. My first boss became my mentor, and he quickly became my co-founder. He saw a lot of potential in me. I have always been smart, but kind of a misfit in the system. The educational system was never really for me, although I excelled in it in the first part of my life. After that became a mess. I spent the time outside the class. Teachers didn't want me in, was a little class clown. And my dad is an entrepreneur. I guess I got some inspiration of that. That first agency, which I started with my mentor, I decided to go solo after a month or two. I had a lot of belief in myself, so much so that, like when I started my first agency, I closed first 4K deals. I think that was on day 10 by cold calling straight up. I don't do much cold calls nowadays, although I might restart with my new mentor. Top sales guy in the industry. And basically, since then, I've never really looked back. The entrepreneurial life brought me amazing things, challenges. Not in this recession. It's interesting times to say the least, but that's how I like it. And I love to be out of the comfort zone. I like to test out ideas. I am a product market fit obsessed individual. So testing out various industries with various product offerings. We could talk more about that today, but very creative and innovative type of person. And I don't really fit the mold, to say the least.
Don't fit the mold. That's I think describes what I'm seeing of your online presence. And what I kind of wanted to talk about a little bit today is you are on every platform. You're in LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Plus you're running 3 businesses. Plus you do like Ironmans and marathons. And how do you, and you have, 20 meetings today. How do you manage all this? You've got to be a time management savant.
Well, I use calendars, obviously, but also it's part of my personality and my biochemistry and my neuroplasticity. I thrive under complexity. If you put me in like one lane, lots of people, they talk about focus. Yes, focus is important, but I thrive doing all of these things, and digging tunnel between each area of specialty. So, for example, the Ironman mindset, I bring it to my business. I'm also launching a business in that field this year. I can tell you more about that later on. But to me, when I look at my life, it's not stressful. I go to bed at like 8 p.m. I start reading and I sleep very good. It's just how I'm made. And also, like, obviously, when you have such a busy schedule and have a high energy output, you're tired at the end of the day. And I follow my passion. I do what I love. And I'm on various platforms, but I'm not successful on all of those. For example, Twitter, I've been talking to myself since the past 2 years. There's a lot of gold in there, but I have zero audience. And guess what? I don't care. Like, I'm my own audience. I post mostly for myself, like, it's weird, but I like re-seeing my tweets that I wrote like 2 years ago just to see where I was at in terms of mindset. I like building in public. And I just thrive under that type of stuff. I'm not the type of guy to focus on one thing. I also think you can miss a bunch of opportunities. For example, the AI era that we've entered officially this year, like in a pretty strong way. If I was focused on one thing, and by the way, I'm in sales, but I also have my horizons open. I have my mind open. I have my guard down, and that means I can get punched in the face, but I can also dodge, and I can also like be more flexible and be more on the offensive, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so you mentioned sales, and one of the things I wanted to discuss with you about is cold sales development, just regular sales development, outreach. What is it that most business people, most startups, most founders are doing wrong to build up their customer base at the start?
Yeah, experimenting is mostly the answer to that. We use Apollo and SendGrid to scale our cold outreach campaigns, mostly via email. We also do a bit of LinkedIn outreach and are introducing calls sooner or later. Basically, people, they outreach to like 15 people a day and they write like hyper personalized message to never get them answered. That's not the solution is to hit scale, hit a grand quantity, have nice message, still have nice copy, and have targeted campaigns, have a relevant offer that will hit some pain points, but hit some substantial quantity, which is in my book at least 1,000 emails per day for one campaign to test out if it works or not, and to see if there's product market fit, and then getting all these market ideas, for example, edutech, fintech, insurtech, doctors, lawyers, whatever, although I don't recommend the latter, with a bunch of product variants. So is it, commission only? Is it having a guarantee? Is it TikTok? Is it Instagram ads? Is it YouTube remarketing? And see where the fit is between both. Getting that product market fit, that's like the startup Bible. Like that's what Silicon Valley will tell you. And yeah, Silicon Valley are definitely leaders in that field. So that's what I advise people to do. With this approach, you're kind of anti-fragile because you're always testing things, and you may find 3 times out of 1,000 some fits. And when you find those fits, all you need to do is double down. And that's where fortunes are being made. Some people, they hit luck quite early in their career. They get that product market fit after their second experiment, and they're like, I'm a genius. And maybe they are, maybe they did the mental work and they had all the data in their brain to tell them that TikTok for edutech was the right niche. But yeah, like me, I've never been really the luck guy. I've been mostly like the hustle guy, and that means to deploy all of these tests with a scalable platform and see where you can get the fit. And once you do, you just double down on it, and that's how you get rich, basically.
So you're casting a really wide net, seeing what works, and then focusing on that. That makes a lot of sense. If you could grant me the ability here, I have been doing my research, and I've been reading through your essays on your website, which obviously I'll link in this podcast. But one paragraph in one of your essays really hit with me, and I'd like to read it real quick and get your thoughts, a little elaboration. So the essay post is a day in the life of success. And this paragraph: I speak to all kinds of entrepreneurs daily. They are the best window to the world as they run it, literally. But I also speak to politicians, futurists, authors, speakers, coaches, etc. I battle test my ideas weekly, weakening some of my hypotheses, strengthening others, consolidating my knowledge, synthesizing my learnings. It's a constant feedback loop between learning and instant implementation / practicing. I spend my day researching, talking to people, reading, and getting smarter by the day. That stuck with me as someone who obviously has a podcast, and you have a couple. I really love that. And this is kind of where I assumed that cast a wide net before we even spoke. That paragraph explains it. You're talking to everyone. You're not just focusing on one individual niche, because multiple people from different industries can provide insight that you can use in others. Is that accurate?
Yeah, well, first, you caught me smiling when I was listening to this, because often I make errors in my when I write. I'm not like first language English, and I just post stuff without reviewing it, especially back in these days. So I'm surprised that I wrote something that good. That's one. Two, I yes, there's some truth to this, but this year I'm mostly focused on CEOs. Truth be told, why? Because I found less value in most authors, more politicians. Well, I've tried politicians, and yeah, not super pretty. Why? I mean, that might sound elitist, but CEOs, they drive industries. They're super smart people. They're like top performance machine. Politicians, obviously, depending on where they are in the world. If I talk to politicians in Mexico, although the situation is getting better here, yeah, most of them are, corrupt and not. They have a peanut instead of a brain. And basically, CEOs, they always are on the battlefield. They're fighting and they have a lot of insights. So yes, I try to cast my net wide, but this year I'll be more focused on CEOs because I don't know. I just didn't have the best of fit with non-entrepreneurial folks. It's like if we're speaking different languages. And but yeah, like I do have appreciation for these folks. This year, I'm also gonna outreach to athletes like CEOs and athletes. We get along very well because it's the same mentality, it's the same grit. And but yeah, there's still value in talking with a bunch of people. I'm gonna restart that. Obviously, there's less ROI in talking with politicians vs people that are in my field. I can get insights that I can monetize, or they can become directly my clients. And I have this podcast funnel that I've started trying this year, although it's not the main purpose of my podcast. The main purpose is learning. So yeah, these are my variants, sometimes conflicting opinions on that question.
Mm-hmm. So, of all the conversations you've had with CEOs so far, what are some of the big standouts to you that really resonated that you could share with our audience here?
Well, finance focus is one. Um, systematic focus is two. HR, although I've lost faith in HR, and that faith went in AI this year, um, is three. Fourth is, it's not necessarily always speaking with CEOs, but just listening to some CEOs and coming back to the thesis of casting your net wide. Who's the most successful entrepreneur of our time and who has proven time after time that he's the king? It's Elon Musk. So like we can derive various insights with what he's done. He's weird as hell. He embraces this weirdness. He thinks very futuristically. He goes for moonshot all the time. He's not wasting his time on running a cold email agency, although yeah, I still give myself some credit for that. But like I have the urge nowadays to launch something bigger than myself, which is mostly longevity. But yeah, have moonshots, have moonshots and have relentless execution and be willing to put it all on the line. Yeah, people don't like the hustle culture, but yeah, look at Elon. He doesn't have a life outside of business. That's the truth. So if that's what you want, that's the kind of sacrifice you need to make. You need to have it all out. And maybe at some point of your life you can rest. But yeah, have big goals. I think most CEOs do have these ambitious goals. And yeah, you need to have a good plan. So you need to think well. You need to execute well, and you need to do that for long enough for yourself to be successful. And these are the Jeff Bezos laws. Be smart, work hard, and work long.
Wonderful. Well, we are at essentially your time, right? So we need to wrap up. Tanner, final thoughts?
Yeah, I mostly just want to ask before you leave, Charles, what are you working on now and what's kind of your plans moving into the future? You kind of teased us a little bit with things that you're coming up with.
Yeah, longevity is one business. Then I have another Ironman similar business, but from home, that I'm planning. This year, 80-90% of my hustle will be on this cold email agency, which is very much anti-fragile. So those would be for the next plans, a bit of podcast, and yeah, just getting back in the trenches. I'd say, in the recession, there's no better time in doing that. And when I do that, I also improve my product. So that will be the focus this year.
Fantastic. Yeah. Well, we'll put links in all of our show notes and on our website and everything, so where people can find you, reach out to you on LinkedIn, connect up, and hopefully make some great connections that way. So again, thank you so much, Charles,
Thank you
for
so
joining.
much, guys.